welcome back to my channel, and today I thought, why not, let's do a video on frugalness in general, because I reckon this year is going to be the most frugal year ever. Don't mind the camera moving there, that is Charlie trying to get some love. Come here, Baba. Come here. Oh, there you go. Oh, you silly little thing, you want to sit there? So, I was recently reading a book called The Art of Frugal Hinduism. I think that's how you say it. Now, I'm pretty frugal as it is. I mend and make do with my clothing, I buy second hand, I use my leftovers, compost my scraps, do a whole bunch of things, but I always felt and feeling that I could do a lot more. I have a couple of big saving goals this year, and I thought, you know what, let's see how frugal I can be to basically have more for things that I really love and enjoy, such as travel, maybe my garden, those sorts of things. So I've identified a few areas, inspiration coming from this book, that I can work towards and work on this year. So for example, they were talking about getting rid of your car. Now it seems really extreme, and if you're lucky to live in a place with public transport, easy to get around, that may be a way to save some money. Because I was saying a car on average is about $20,000 in Australian terms to basically run, own, manage, insurance, etc., which is an instant saving goal. So I personally cannot get rid of my car because I travel a lot for work. So I thought, why not? I'm going to attempt to get a bicycle, free of course, and use that around town when I go shopping for groceries, those sorts of things. And because it's only like 10 minutes away, so I was like, you know what, healthy and frugal, save some money on some petrol, and only use my car for the big trips, for work, and go to Brisbane, those sorts of things. So yes, I am going to share my journey. I'm going to be doing this over a couple of months, reviewing my budget, seeing where I can cut costs while not going without, because that's the thing too about frugalness. You need to make sure that you find the balance of, not having to go without, such as food. We still need to eat, but maybe rethinking how you do your grocery shop and type of food you eat is another area. So this is my journey. I'm documenting this as I go along, the challenges, the wins, the not so wins, and just trying to rethink how everything's done to create more in my life. So here we go, let's do this. So before I get started on my journey, I wanted to share a couple of my favorite learnings and chapters from this book. I borrowed it from the library. The library has the electronic version most often, or the hard copy. So if they don't, request it. This is it. I'll make the link below so you know how to access it, where to find it, what the name is. And one of the chapters was beware of fake frugal, and I think that was really important, especially with like sustainability and buying eco products. They're not necessarily more sustainable in a way. Perhaps sustainable products is using what you have already and not getting that latest gadget. And also the cost of things too. They were talking about if it's cheap to buy, but it could be at the expense of someone else. That's fake frugal, and it's just not fair, they were saying. Such as like endless brand new clothes made by a tired woman in faraway countries. Value pack of disposable razors that end up bobbing in carpets in the North Atlantic. Interesting analogy right there. But you get the gist, you get the idea of that. The other one was, notice when you have enough. And this was really really interesting, this chapter. And it was talking about, acquiring certain kitchen gadgets that you might be able to get free from friends or something because you're swapping or they don't no longer need it. And then they used the example of, there's a list or the hat of things to get. And when she went to get that said item from the second-hand store, she went, you know what? I've lived like 3 months without it. Will it improve my life? Probably not. It's just another thing to have in the drawer. And I actually relate to this because a couple of my kitchen items and stuff, I was kind of like, I'm kind of doing okay without it. I don't think it's going to enhance my life further, and I just saved a whole $4, which is not much, but less stuff, more money. So that was interesting, that one. And then the last one, I think, they go through it in a couple of different chapters, but I think it's really great about getting friends together and exchanging services. You know, we live in an economy where money makes things go round. How about we start rethinking that and utilizing our friends and our skills and our services that we have, such as, you know, needing help to paint a house. You know what, come along, let's have a pizza party. I'll make pizza, paint the house, and as a thank you, here's some food. Those sorts of things. I really love that kind of economy and just general cycle of life, and I think we should be doing more of it, such as I have mending skills. Maybe I can, you know, offer them to somebody in exchange for something that I need. So it's just rethinking how you do things and being the one to start it as well. And I think if you're the one that starts it, get it happening, and more people will become involved, and it will evolve into a wonderful, frugal, free exchange of services. So anyway, I hope this inspires you. Let's get started with my journey and the things that I currently do and the things that I am going to change. Let's go. So for this first challenge, I decided to take a stock list of what was currently in my freezer and pantry, which is really important because then you have the visibility to see what do you actually got and what can you make with the ingredients on hand. I already made most things from scratch, but I had to get a little bit innovative with some leftovers and just sad looking produce, those sorts of things, rather than tossing it out, making it into either apple pies or into soups, those sorts of things. And by the 4 months down the track in June, I knew that I was getting very low in my supplies when my container drawers started to fill up and overflow. And that to me was a really good sign to show that I had pretty much eaten through my freezer and my pantries were looking pretty bare. The additional aspect to this challenge was to BOI food more regularly to events and activities to save money. Instead of buying, you know, unhealthy deep fried food, I was able to bring my own yummy sandwiches and sit in a paddock by myself and have a lovely picnic. For my second challenge, I wanted to ride more to the shops to get my groceries, post parcels, those sorts of things. Because I wasn't buying much from the shops, I really wasn't riding or needing to ride to the shops. Occasionally I would do a trip and fill up a backpack with fruit and veg, but that was pretty much it. I would occasionally use it to transport parcels and post parcels for my shop. But really, this one didn't end up becoming quite successful in a way. I just made sure to prioritize any shopping I needed to do on my way home from work. That way I wasn't needing to have to come out and get the car out again. Next challenge was rather boring but very important because I sat down for a good hour and just deleted and unsubscribed from a bunch of different emails, so that reduced the temptation to buy things like sales you might come through and you're like, oh, I could buy that thing because it's half price. So I basically did that to clean up my marketing and the influence of products I see, and also getting rid of a couple of subscriptions that were like $4 or $5 here. I did also eventually get rid of my gym membership 2 months into this challenge and eventually convince myself to, you know, try fun exercise and go for rides and for walks and those sorts of things rather than spend that gym membership, which sometimes we buy but then hardly ever go. This challenge is basically a plug for the local libraries. They're absolutely amazing. The amount of books you can find, some even have like puzzles you can borrow, ebooks, newspapers, etc. Get rid of some of those like newspaper magazine subscriptions. You can find them at the library instead. And this has been one of my joys, is going to the library weekly to find magazines, new books to read, those sorts of things. And it's really, really great resource to have in your back pocket and saves you oodles of money too. Winning! When I say a side job, I am referring to utilizing the skills that you already have. So if you mend people's clothing, this is what I did. I put out more mending jobs and alteration jobs. I also collected like the 10-cent containers when I went traveling, because often I'm stuck using plastic water bottles. So I thought, why not utilize them and collect them and bring them home with me after my trips when I travel. And also basically leveling up my little vintage side business of selling vintage and retro clothing. Make sure that I'm putting more listings up, those sorts of things, and more beautiful clothing for you guys to buy. Wow, we're at the end of my challenge. It I first recorded that introduction at the end of January and now recording this at the start of June. So it's been about 4 to 5 months since I started that challenge. And I'm pretty much happy to say that yes, I may have not saved a huge amount of money, but I have been able to allocate and save a little bit here and there to put into my garden, because that's something I value and something I wanted to get up and running. So as I say, using less for more. So I was able to use that bit of more into my garden, which was really, really great. The biggest, I suppose, learning from the whole thing was just the ability to be more creative and innovative, especially with food. Doing the pantry freezer challenge, really rethink how I thought of food, if that's a word, made me rethink how food I did every week. And it allowed me to be a bit more creative and innovative with my leftovers, using what I have to create a simple meal. Because sometimes meals don't have to be, exuberant with 10,000 ingredients. Sometimes a fruit, veg, meat, protein, and a bit of grains adds up to a lovely, nourishing meal. So that's something to consider as well. My other thing is removing the temptation. Sometimes we have cards on our phone and we just automatically go pay with online shopping, clothing, those sorts of things. So I highly recommend removing that temptation, moving your card off your phone. So if you want to buy something online, you have to physically get off the couch, go and get your card, get your wallet, and enter the details. And by that time, that feeling is probably past and you don't actually need to buy that item. The second one is subscriptions. I reduced a lot of my subscriptions because sometimes they just auto-subscribe you each month without you realizing. So it's reevaluating your subscriptions, saying, you know what, I can do without that at the moment, and removing it. I removed at least 2 subscriptions, I think. And yes, they might be only $4 or $5 here, but it all adds up. Third one, again with removing the temptation, is making your own coffee at home. Perhaps you go a certain route on your way to work that has a cafe and you're just tempted to buy a coffee every day. That's $5 or $6 that adds up each day. So perhaps make your coffee at home and do an alternative route to work so you remove that temptation completely. And yeah, I find it really funny that I started this challenge and then all of a sudden the world went crazy and fuel prices increased, and I was like, oh, look at that hindsight, isn't that fun? So it was kind of a really good timing, and I'm doing this 4 months later because I've actually just haven't done a big grocery shop. I literally bought in bulk probably in January, February, and I'm just coming to the endings of my supply in my freezer and pantry. So I bought a whole bunch of meat and I've just basically nearly complete gone through it all 4 months later, which I think is amazing. It's so cool, and I haven't really done a massive grocery shop. Yes, I go weekly for yogurt, milk, or some fruit and veg, but I haven't actually gone to the shops regularly, and that kind of reduced the amount of times I went on my bike as well. I was hoping to go cycle more to the shops and things, but I wasn't going to the shops. So yeah, it's been good, and I think it's just re-looking at how you do your finances and controlling what you can control, making sure when you do your budget, see what your expenses are and what you have left over, rather than trying to squeeze those food bills or those certain bills into a mold that's just not working. You've got to be realistic at the end of the day, and it's just been simple. Simplify things, make things easier, and also don't forget to have fun. There's other ways to have fun as well. Anyway, I rambled on enough, but I hope this video inspires you to maybe look at 1 or 2 things once a month maybe, and see how you can reevaluate your budget and maybe do more with less, and then with the leftover, use it on something nice. Well, that's it for me. I'll see you later. Bye.